and source of love and creation is my shepherd, I shall not want. It maketh me to lie down in green pastures. It leadeth me beside the still waters. It restoreth my soul. It leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for its name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, Benton will fear no evil, for the most superintelligent power, source, and force of love and creation is with me. Its rod and its staff, they comfort me. It prepareth a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. It anointeth my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord. Of what I am forever. What's happening? Benton here. 2:48 a.m. 2:49 a.m. Central Time. Let's see, what do we got? Get our hours back in 1 hour and 6 minutes. We need 2 hours off duty. After doing 8 hours in the sleeper berth. Made 4 deliveries yesterday. Drove 9 hours total. And yeah, it's been a whole thing. I wouldn't say fatigue is playing a part, but a certain shooting of the nerves. Shot my nerves is shot, right? Does anybody remember how often I used to comment about my nerves being shot back in the chronic illness days? Yeah, truck driving for 9 months, sick as a dog. Well, that was something else. Yeah, I used to say my nerves are shot, and used to get angry with the dispatchers. Used to lash out at the dispatchers. Lashed out at the dispatcher yesterday evening. Angry outbursts, question mark. And then, you know, is that an appropriate response? And then alchemically, you know, what can be spun up and alchemized out of an angry outburst? An arguably controlled angry outburst. But certainly the error of improper identification, meaning setting aside the waking dream, surrealistic, unreal, you know, elements of the realm, and treating it as if it was as presented, right? Becoming incensed, you know, and then recognizing the reasons for this, but then also, of course, the potential for the righteous expression of anger. And anger feels good to some extent, or it can, right? Especially when it manifests in certain ways. And no pain in the liver, right? No pain in the gallbladder. You know, in Chinese medicine, anger associated with the liver and the gallbladder. In fact, feeling pretty darn good this morning in the early AM. But a certain restlessness energetically in the energy sphere and in the physicality, the physiology. So the idea of walking the perfected path that lies within and recognizing, the level of peace and calm that's normally present, especially when I first awaken, maybe after uh, dealing with a spiritual attack or two, and then going into that calm abiding, right? And then you get into the angry person being told to calm down, and how often do they go, I am calm? And so recognizing that, the peace, the depths of that calm or peace, there's levels to that, right? So the angry outburst, and we'll get into the reasons for it. It's somewhat comical, but let me take my time on this one. Shout out to the chat. Apologies for the mouth noises. Dental health, very important. And no guilt, no shame, no fear. But then, what was the fears that triggered the angry outburst? I don't know that there was any fears. And then let's also remember, what's up, E? I was going to say something about anger, but the younger generations, I think this fella's probably a millennial. It's hard to tell, but I don't know, mid-30s. And they don't really process the, generationally, they don't process the being yelled at, right? And then some of that is my own, inability at times to express myself properly without rising to a certain level of energy, right? But then the control and the various practices to, be able to pull that energy down and go back to being relatively centered. But then, like I said, awakening this morning and, less peace, less calm than normal. But then, some of that is allowing myself to get swept away in this frenetic energy of making all these 4 deliveries yesterday in order to not sit all weekend, which would displease the owner of the trucking company. Meanwhile, I don't give a fuck. However, Benton's own, what he was taught and his own spirit and principles around, there's this thing in trucking when it's going to take me probably a month to 6 weeks to really prove to them, what I'm able to do on the job. Because anybody can sort of bullshit their way and talk a big game. And so this is where we get with the dispatchers, because the Eastern European dispatchers that I've dealt with have been bullshit artists, the males, right? And this one's no different. It's a bullshit artist. While simultaneously, truckers, right? Truckers fall victim to a lot of this. We're like family bullshit, because if you play the averages of why does a person go live on the road away from their life and their family, it's because they got a mama, right? They got a woman somewhere at home, and she needs to drive around in a car. She needs to get her hair and her nails did, right? She's got a kid or two, whether or not he's the father of those children, and there's a certain there's a certain strata financially where a person who spends most of the month on the road driving a truck is able to pay for all that, especially if he's willing to not spend a lot on himself. And then, historically, we understand a lot of men and males, the way that women view them has a lot to do with their own self-image, right? So consequently, you get into these, what I would call predatory or manipulative psychological dynamics whereby these truck drivers are quite manipulatable as a result. And then when we talk about normies and patterns, and he even called my behavior weird at a certain point. So that's weird. It seems weird to me because he's developed these patterns, right? This dispatcher, and at an unconscious or a sleeping masses, bleeding sheep herd of NPCs level, all he wants to do is plug Benton into this, decision-making matrix of like what level of bullshit to send Benton's way to get him to shut up and go away, right? Which is all tolerable on some level, except for the part where, in order to smooth things over, because invariably that trucker that I'm describing will at some point become resentful and cranky and just, driving and then not getting enough sleep and all of these things. At some point the driver's going to get angry, and however that manifests, whether passive aggressive or directly aggressive. Because it's interesting, because again, this idea that especially these younger generations, they don't really process the direct aggression, not emotionally anyway, but the passive aggression they do process. So it wasn't my intention, but at a certain point early on in the conversation, and what it came down to is I was asking a specific question, and then immediately was my question that I needed answered, because otherwise, why would I call? I'm not calling to chat. I'm not calling because I feel some type of way and I need emotional labor performed, right? I'm calling because I want some info, and I want it right now. See? And it's interesting because when it became clear that this person either did not understand my question or simply was going to bullshit their way through it and refuse to answer it, and in fact just act mystified that I would even be asking this question. And I see, I'm feeling a little bit of that same anger, even thinking about it. And this is the gaslighting of the realm, and this is the inward, 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 which means Benton is the nigger, right? And I don't mean black person. I mean, to live, right, or undergoing this slow process of death, to do that via certain performances, especially in the workplace. It is a sort of just turning myself over to the vacuous, delusory, adversarial realm of business transactions, saying, yes, I am your nigger. I will drive your nigger truck, right? And again, we don't mean black person, like coolie, right? Like a coolie, a white person coolie, and so I will be treated as such. But then, because there is an element of, well, these people, our coolies can come and go as they please, right? Liberty, our coolies, for purposes of the system, the system and the populace is pretending like there's this thing called freedom when there's not, so there's a certain financial amount of money involved in bringing and onboarding a new coolie, right, or nigger, and then getting them into the swing of things. And then also imagine being a business and behaving as if these accounts are important, because the only way to even maybe make a profit in long haul trucking right now is to have direct customer freight, right? And that typically would involve a higher level of service. And part of that is, hey, we got a 50-year-old uh, uh, white guy, right, who's somewhat presentable and affable, and he's fluent in English in spite of his southern accent, and he's going to come on down there, and he's not going to crash into the side of your building, right? He's not going to leave poop bags everywhere or throw trucker bombs out the window at the customer, right? And he's going to do the best he can, and that's an advantage to the company. Meanwhile, the company doesn't train me, right? I train myself. And I don't mean train me to drive the truck. See, none of what I'm talking about has anything to do with my ability to drive the 18-wheeler down the road. That's a completely separate thing. And I'm aware of all of these dynamics, and clearly a corporate structure of business, it gets a lot of mileage out of not recognizing these dynamics. Because when they hired me, right, they had to blow a bunch of smoke up my ass around, well, we need to provide a higher level of service because, these accounts come and go. And realistically, just about any trucking company can get this contract or this account. And I'm aware of that, right? And so there's always this constant fear for the management and the dispatchers around servicing these customers. But then what do? We hire a coolie off the street. And I mean off the streets of Los Angeles, who's been sleeping in a Nissan Versa. This is America now, folks. So the company is trying to do all of these things based on like this old version of Americana, the customer's always right, service, 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 while setting me up to fail. And why is Benton set up to fail? Because of going inwardly and discovering, this spiritual path that lies within and walking it most of the time. This realm and this system of things in this world will only ever treat me like a nigger. And again, I don't mean black person, but it will treat me like a nigger, because this world exists in opposition to what I am. What I am is the way, what I am is the truth, what I am is the life. The highest forms of authority, power, love, creation, expansion. That's what I am. Again, not Benton the performer, not Benton in the context of the performance, not the psychology, the actual essence, right? And then, so to hire somebody off the street who's treated that way, right, day in and day out, and has alchemized and grown and changed and evolved and, reckoned with the dead flesh, right? The Son of Man is dead. The flesh is dead, right? The world is dead, which is probably part of the reason why the realm won't ever shut up about the majesty of the mountains and the streams and the oceans, while squatting over the ocean and taking a big old dump in it, right? While just toxic sludge and waste in the rivers and landfills and just the whole thing, right? The air, the water, right? But then, so behaving that way, and then whatever's done with the animals, and then constantly reminding me right? Constantly reminding me that the beauty and the majesty of nature, that's dead, man. There's no life to nature out here. It's a dead world. It's a world of death. It's what it is. Again, don't kill the messenger. I understand the mind control is there. Oh, touch grass and all of this. Yeah, I understand that the physiology, it responds in various ways to external phenomena. So it doesn't make the external phenomena alive. If the flesh is dead, why wouldn't it respond to other forms of death? Right. Again, let's apply logic to the situation, while always solving for and reconciling at the levels of waking dream, surrealistic unreality. See, deja vu all over again, and taking on these slings and arrows. So, and just look at the absurdity of what I'm describing, and then the external bootstrapping, where each little step in the business process, the business cycle that I'm describing, the American is indoctrinated to just say, okay, we'll adapt and overcome, smash through these obstacles, right? Suck it up, don't be a pussy. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep driving, keep pushing, right? And I'm happy to do that when I need to. So yesterday, all day long, was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to get 4 deliveries done. The last of which I'm on the phone with them because they're finna go home, because this is Lubbock, Texas. And when 4:30 p.m. rolls around, we taking it to the house, partner, and we're off all weekend, right? And we don't work Saturday, and we don't work Sunday. Whatever we're gonna get done is gonna get done Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, right? And I've lived that life. I get it. I worked at a computer store that, because it was retail, they opened till noon on Saturday, and the owner used to watch people pull into the parking lot at 11:55 and just happily tell them to our face, well, we'll see you Monday because we're taking it to the house. And just the look on the customer's face, like, what? Like, no, we're gone. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. We're getting in our vehicles and we're driving the fuck out of here, right? And unless the being behaves that way, they won't have that personal time. So I'm the one out here as a nigger who has to fight for his free time, right? So I'm driving along, and I'm supposed to it's Texas, so there's roads everywhere. So I'm supposed to exit off the interstate onto this nice, beautiful, expressway that's going to take me almost all the way to the customer, bypassing the city driving. Oh, well, the exit's closed. And normally my GPS software that I pay for, it's pretty good about knowing the exit's closed, but it's dependent on somebody's got to go into the software and say, hey man, they're doing road construction, this exit ain't open. Well, I don't ever do that. And it's such a small area, Lubbock, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody else that uses this software is bothered to do that, right? And there's probably not enough local truck drivers that are in and out of there that give a shit, that use that software. See, again, it's an information age, but somehow I can't know ahead of time that, based on the fact that they've dug up all of the asphalt and concrete that would normally comprise the off-ramp, the transition from the interstate to the expressway. It's been a minute. This thing's been closed for a minute or two. And so now, slow down, put the flashers on, reroute. Now we're going through town, stoplight to stoplight to stoplight, right? So I'm doing my job. I'm letting the dispatch know, hey, I got about a 10-minute delay. Meanwhile, I'm driving out of like a bat out of hell, while simultaneously not getting tickets, while simultaneously not having accidents, while simultaneously not running red lights. Even though, while in a hurry and looking up and saying, yeah, I could go through that on a yellow, but if somebody don't see me coming, I'm about to smash them with an 18-wheeler at 60 miles an hour. Nope. So now we're stopping, we're looking around, waiting to go, right? And so that's my actual job, which is neither here nor there nowadays. That's just when we bring people, America brings people from India and all these other countries and just says, here, have a CDL and a big rig, and just, if the exit's closed, just go ahead and go 60 miles an hour through town with people coming in and out of corporate, retail businesses, looking at their phones, by the way. And half of them want to get hit so they can call the injury lawyer, right? And so Benton, for his experience level, expertly maneuvers all this. So I know I got to haul balls, because if I don't come around that corner at a certain point, these they're going home. And if they go home, I got freight on the trailer all weekend, and which I would rather just have the weekend off personally. Hey, don't even pay me. That's fine. I'll just chill out. But still proving myself to the company. And now I got to get backed in, right? So now, first I got to go run up to the guy. So I parked the truck. I'm running up to the dock. Is he even still here? Well, the door's open. I got to smooth it over with the guy. Yeah, he's already giving me the spiel about he's ready to go home for the weekend. And he's bitching about whatever they want him to do on Monday. And so I got to sweet talk him a little bit. And then I got to get backed into the dock. And meanwhile, it's got a big hump in it, right? This is all new buildings. And because these trucking companies and these tractors are sold based on fuel economy, we got this bullshit tag axle, which means we got 4 fucking drive tires, and most of the time we're trying to just have one of them spin for some insane reason. So we our one fucking drive tire likes to spin. Then we have the traction control from 2019, which ain't that good, right? So then it's like, okay, do we turn it off or do we leave it on? Well, in some situations, it's better to leave it on. In other situations, it's better to turn it off. Then we have the intra-axle lock, right? We can lock one of the diffs, I guess, because remember, we got an entirely dead axle that does nothing. So it doesn't actually lock axle to axle. It just locks the diff, right? So maybe we'll get a little more posi traction. Maybe not. It's sort of just up in the air. We don't really know what's going to happen. And then we have an air system that, because of the maneuvering and, oh my God, my wheel's spinning and I'm trying to go forward. I'm trying to slide the axles. I'm jumping out of the truck. I'm back in the truck. I'm jumping out of the truck. I'm back in the truck. I got to look and make sure I don't crash into the building, right? Oh, look, we don't have any air. Rev the engine up. Wait. Oh, is he still there or did he go home yet? Right. This is all happening. Oh, we were trying to go over the hump again. We've lost traction again. Right. And then that just makes me look like I don't know what I'm doing, which that doesn't inspire confidence. So managed to make it. And then now we're backing up to the dock, except I can't see the bumpers. So all I know is I'm about to put metal to concrete. So I'm having to inch back and inch back and inch back and inch back to not just crash my trailer into what could just be naked concrete. Right. Turns out there are rubber bumpers there, but you can't see them. They're inset. Right. So this is my actual job, what I'm describing here, which is treated like it's not even the job. My job is to take pictures of bills of lading. My job is to manage the hours of service on a tablet. My job is to, understand that the company is staying afloat by having all of these customer freight. Meanwhile, they're never going to actually train me on the ins and outs of each account. And the dispatcher works with a bunch of people who already know the ins and outs of the account. So when I start as a newbie, there's no intelligence in the normie's mind to say, well, wait a minute, we have a new person that doesn't yet know the ins and outs of all of this and is left to his own devices, is just not going to know what to do. Right. Which is how we got in the situation of 4 deliveries in one day anyway. And driving 9 hours to make all. And I was at the first delivery when the day started. So we had basically an average of 3 hours of driving between each of the next 3 deliveries, right? And trying to make these time frames. And then the last one, we either get there before they go home or we don't. So we made it right as late as they were willing to stay there. It's like 4:35. Now it's 4:50 and I'm backed up to the dock. And now, because only one person is left and he's going to lock up the shop, now I'm helping him. It's 30 minutes of helping him, unload the unwieldy. It's like these long metal pieces. And we got to get them onto a dolly and, push them off the trailer and then onto a forklift where they're just comically like, hanging off. And then he's maneuvering around everything that's in the way. And eventually we get them onto a shelf, or a shelf rack, and sign my paper. Let me get the fuck out of here. Right. Well, so the moment I'm like, hey, we're done, they don't send me my work assignment. Right. They don't. Yeah, very early. You're right, Joe Moore. They don't send me my work assignment until they have to know that I've gotten the freight off the truck. So you got a dispatcher waiting to click a button somewhere and confirm a load. So the moment he knows that my trailer's empty, he's confirming this load. So now I'm getting sent pickup information, right? So I'm still in this frenzy, in this frenetic energy of, what a miracle that this all even happened. Meanwhile, there's no acknowledgement or no kudos or no attaboy. Well, guess what? Masculinity doesn't need to be patted on the head or acknowledged. It's just like, yeah, that's your job. You did your job, partner. You don't get credit for that. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And I won't even get into the reasons why. It actually was supposed to be 2 deliveries on Thursday and 2 on Friday. They're acting like it was my fault that it got crammed into one day. It wasn't my fault. It's because they didn't train me. Nobody told me. And then they set me up to fail. And I'm pretty sure the only reason I got this load is because whoever was supposed to pick it up at midnight on Monday going into Tuesday, for whatever reason, couldn't pick it up. So then Benton picked it up at 4 p.m. on Tuesday in Connecticut and drove off into 5 o'clock northeastern rush hour traffic, trying to drive 1,400 miles and then deliver 2 of the deliveries on Thursday, if possible, which is by 4 p.m., which is fucking impossible without just, driving 1,000 miles in one day, which is not legal. Can't legally do that. Right. Now, the Indians, the AI, the actual Indians, and the foreigners who got given a CDL, well, they're just running however they want to. They're running outlaw. So they can drive 1,000 miles. What they can't do is keep an account. See, they can't service accounts. Does that make sense? They can't service direct customer freight. That's me. But since I'm a coolie and I'm the nigger, we can't treat Benton like he's a valuable member of the team by actually training him and saying, okay, we're going to put you in a hotel for 3 days. We're going to send you, here's the info about each account. Here's what they do. Here's the type of freight they haul. Here's the particular requirements. Because remember, I'm, other than the sales, whoever sold the account, and that may have happened virtually, I'm the only one who's physically going to these places and talking to these people, right? Excuse me, how rude. I'm the only one doing all of these things. But in corporate America, as we know, there's no more training. It's just you show up and you do the fucking job, or you don't, right? You show up, you do the job, or you don't. And even if you do the job, we might not keep you. And even if you don't do the job, we might keep you. It's just very, it's very scattershot and just catch as catch can. So, I think we could see why there's some anger. So I call this dude because here's what I want to know. So I look at the pickup information and just to see where is it, and I bust out my phone. Where is it? I bust out one of my 3 phones. This one. that's been charging over here because, like a good boy, I want to be ready for the day. And I punch in the address of where the fuck I'm going, so I see how long does it take to get there. Roswell, New Mexico, 3-hour drive, 170 miles. And then I look at how much time I got left. And then all I want to know is, do I need to get there tonight in order to deliver this motherfucker? Right? I don't even look at when is it delivered. Because if I'm going to get into an entire trip plan, I'm looking at a clock that's running. Right? I know how to do a trip plan. Right? I'm really good at trip planning. It's going to take a few minutes. And I'm still in this frenetic energy. And I've got a dispatcher on the phone that I can call. And he, that same day and the day before, was blowing smoke up my ass around, we're a small company, we're a family, and all this. If you need anything. And see, this was all because they needed me to bust my ass today, to where if nothing goes wrong and everything falls correctly, we can maybe cram in a load over the weekend. Right, to make the boss happy, which I don't even care. Fuck him. I mean, seriously, fuck him. I don't care. He's the one that decided to try to get rich in trucking. Right, I'm out here working like a coolie, working like a nigger for my room and board. Right, and I don't mean black person. I don't mean black person. See, so I don't give a fuck about his pocket. Now, I'm not trying to hurt his pocket. Some drivers would, but it's like, why would I care? And meanwhile, the dispatcher, the owner, all of these people are going to their nice, comfortable beds tonight. I'm in a truck, don't even have air conditioning. Right? Living in a truck. Well, I like living in a truck. But, I'm thinking about all this. So I called him on the phone. All I want to know is, do I have to drive to Roswell, New Mexico tonight? Or can I take it to the motherfucking truck stop? I'm not asking permission. I'm not saying, hey, I'm too tired to drive. What I'm saying is, in order to make on-time delivery, I will happily drive as far as my energy levels will let me drive towards Roswell, New Mexico. But without doing a proper trip plan, I don't even know. See? I don't even know if I have enough fuel. Right? Turns out there's nowhere to fuel. And it would have been a disaster if I just did what he said and drove to Roswell, New Mexico. So here's what this guy does. The bullshit artist. He just looks at what's the easiest way he can get me off the phone. It's to say, well, yeah, of course, you have hours, right? Because remember, most truckers, all they care about is their mama's got to be happy. And if they don't show up for their 3 days, if they don't work 3 weeks, to get 3 days off, at some point they got to come home and babysit so mama can go do whatever she wants to do, right? And they can pretend like they're in a relationship with each other, but she's just using him for his money most of the time, which is whatever. I mean, I'm not involved. So they can be motivated as, well, you have time on your clock, so continue working. Well, Benton ain't motivated by that. Benton want to take it to the truck stop. But Benton, in order to avoid possibly being late whenever, I don't even know when this thing's due, right? I don't know how tight the window is. And this company's already shown we'll do windows so tight as to be physically fucking impossible, right? While expecting me to do it. So it's not, logically, it's not out of bounds for me to just go, well, of course, they're only giving me loads that I have enough time to complete, because that's already been disproven. And see, remember, this is all very logical. What I'm describing is all very logical. It's not emotional. Now, the way I express myself can be charged with emotion, but the logic of the situation. So all I want to be told is, oh yeah, man, no, you got plenty of time on this load. I got basically, this could almost be done in one entire shift, almost. Not quite, but it could basically be done in 1.5 shifts. I'm going to have 2 full shifts. We've got plenty of time. Again, if I sit there and examine all the details, like I work in an office with, now I'm Julia Roberts with all the facts and figures and equations floating around my head, right? That's his world. My world is I'm running around some place I've never been, and trying to get these people to not go home for the weekend. That's my world. My world is not, I'm in front of 4 screens all day long, eating a cheese Danish, and, trying to flirt with whatever gals in the office, That's what he's doing, And so I get oh, well, you've got time, so drive as far to Roswell, New Mexico as possible. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I'm looking at a screen. This is what I'm looking at. You see this? I'm looking at this. So I know how much motherfucking time I got because it's right there while I'm talking to it. So, like, why are you telling me that I have it doesn't even make sense. In my world, it's like, why are you telling me this? And this is what I'm looking at all day, is these clocks. Like, what? It doesn't compute. And he starts to just get me off the phone by lying to me and saying that he has another call to take. Right. So I just go, but because we're lying and we're blowing smoke and we're, oh yeah, if you need anything, we're a family and I'm here to help you and we're a team and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just like passive aggressive, but don't mean to be, meaning my thing is, okay, I'll just do whatever I want. In my mind, it's like, well, I tried. If I get to the truck stop and then I see, well, actually, I did need to haul ass to Roswell, New Mexico, except now I burned an hour of my clock trying to figure this out when he could have just told me on the phone. Well, it's like, all right, well, fuck it. Who cares? Fuck them. I make the same amount of money either way. Doesn't affect me, and I'm not trying to get home. I'm not trying to maximize every second so that I can go home to some beast of burden somewhere to keep her happy. Right? That's not my motivation. And again, fair enough if that's how other people are living. It's got nothing to do with me, right? Hang on, I'm going to fire this truck up. I'm going to get out of here in a minute or two. So then he detects that, wait a minute, this guy called me for a reason and I haven't answered his question. But he still just wants to bullshit me and placate. He's trying to placate my emotions from his perspective. My thing is, I just want some information. Pretty please with sugar on top. Would you answer my question? He won't answer my question. He's bullshit artisting. He's being a bullshit artist. So after a few rounds of him just trying to say, well, you have time, so of course, keep driving. And I'm like, bro, you're not hearing me. I'm ready to be done for the day. I might actually want to go have a meal, walk around the truck stop, take a shower. I mean, we all know that's not a thing, but they don't know that. They haven't figured that out yet. I might have a life, because remember, most of these drivers don't have, their life is at home. Like, I'm living on the road, partner. I just worked, did 4 deliveries and drove 9 hours. I'm good on trucking for the day, partner. And, we're going round and round. And, again, it's all putting it back on me. And so eventually it becomes dismissive enough where I start to take it personally, which is the error, right? That's the error of false identification, by taking it personally. Just like the Lord Christ Jesus took it personally when he drove the money changers out of the temple. See, why else would Christ have responded that way? He took it personally. It was a personal affront to what he is, to what he was. See, same thing here. It's a personal affront, right? And so we go through this whole thing to where I'm just yelling at him louder and louder and louder. And he's not, again, he won't process the anger, but he doesn't know yet that I'm way better at arguing than he is. He doesn't know this, right? And imagine being out-argued by somebody who sounds country like me. Because eventually he's losing the argument and I start saying, sir, it has nothing to do with my feelings, because then he starts trying to address my emotional state. I said, sir, this has nothing to do with feelings. I said, it has to do with facts. I said, I called you seeking facts, and you're refusing to answer my question while trying to seem like you're answering my question, while simultaneously being dismissive and trying to get me off the phone, while gaslighting me and accusing me of being negative, right? He said, he told me I'm being negative. I said, well, you're being insulting. Oh, and then he's like, well, I don't see how I'm being insulting. Well, I don't see how I'm being negative, right? So everything he says to me, I have an instant retort for. And so eventually he recognizes that, oh, wait a minute, I just lost the argument. What do we do now? So now he gets into, well, and I've been going off on him the whole time, like not personally, but just I said, you're bullshitting me. That's what really got him. That's what really, because he is bullshitting me. So pretty early on, I said, man, you're bullshitting me. And then I don't like all this family talk. So I said, man, it doesn't work when you want to blow all this smoke up my ass around we're a small company, we're not the big company, we're like a family. You tell me that one day, and the next day you're bullshitting me on the phone. Oh, what is this? What is this bullshitting? What is this bullshitting? I said, yeah, you're bullshitting me, brother. You're being dismissive. And at a certain point, he said, and so here's a threat. Well, do I need to dispatch you through the hours of service software? It's a vendor. They pay money for this software, and apparently they can dispatch me through the software. Well, I'm familiar with the software for hours of service. I've never been dispatched through it. So then he's like, do I need to dispatch you through that? Do you know how to do that? Oh, well, the boss told me you're proficient with this software. So, well, I've never been dispatched through it. Oh, well, you don't know how to do it. Very insulting and dismissive, right? Calling me stupid. And his tone of voice. And I called him on it. I said, now you're calling me stupid. I said, just the whole back and forth. And then he's wanting to deny it. Oh, how was I insulting? How was I this? How was I that? I said, your tone of voice, man. While you're simultaneously telling me I'm negative, right? So yeah, maybe I am negative. You're insulting, right? And dismissive and treating me like I'm stupid, right? While telling me that I'm smart and you're experienced, so you should know. Yeah, brother, I know how to do a trip plan. You're the one who planned the load. I just received it 5 minutes ago. See? And then this is all the details. And what happens is most people, once they become emotional, they lose the ability to track details in real time. I can become forcefully emotional and still perfectly track every single detail. At a certain point, you know what I said to him? I said, hey, man, because he's just wanting to deny the validity of my question. He's like saying, like, I don't even understand what we're talking about. I said, hey, man, that's fine. If you don't understand what we're talking about, if you can't follow through the conversation up until this point, we can't work together. But it's like, I don't even know what we're talking about then. Meaning, hey, buddy, if you can't give me a synopsis of what the conversation is, because I know exactly what's happened. I can tell you point by point by point by point what's happened to get us to here. So he's trying to do this thing where he divorces himself from everything that's happened. And so I won't let him have it both ways. So I just go into a space of, here's how I finally defeated him, was basically like, bro, if you don't know what we're talking about, and if you don't understand what I'm trying to ask you, then, I don't even know what what are we talking about? Because he's trying to say to me, like, hey, I think this is strange. He even called me, he even said at some point, this is insane, or you're being insane. He's gaslighting me. And I just put it back on him. I said, listen, man, if you can't tell me how we got to this point in the conversation, it's basically like, what are we talking about? I don't know. Maybe I just called you up to have an argument at that point. It's like, what are we talking about? I thought we were talking about conveying the goods from point A to point B. That's what I thought we were talking about, And so eventually he understood that I'd completely defeated him in the argument. So then by basically saying, and then he did provide a summary. Then he did go through it, but he still tried to gaslight and obfuscate and not own his own part in the thing. And I called him on it. I said, man, You tried to get, you dismissed what I was asking and tried to get me off the phone. No, I didn't. I said, yeah, you did. You tried to act like you had something else to do. Meanwhile, we've been arguing about this for 10 minutes now. I guess that call wasn't important after all, right? I guess that call you acted like you needed to take wasn't important after all, right? Just fucking, and I don't care about owning the guy. All I care about is pretty please with sugar on top. If you know that I have enough time to take it to the truck stop, just say, yeah, man, you got plenty of time. But his fear is, oh, this driver might get drunk, not me particularly, but the driver might oversleep, not drive the 3 hours and be late. What they want me to do is get as close to the customer as possible to minimize the chances of me oversleeping. I'm not going to oversleep. I'm early for my fucking live stream, right? I'm not going to oversleep. It's not possible, right? But they don't know that yet because I haven't proven to them that I can do shit really early in the morning, right? And it was hilarious once he started trying to address my emotions. It's like, brother, we're talking about facts. You're factually wrong, sir. So then he gets to the part where, well, I'll talk to the owner and, basically saying maybe we're not going to be able to work together. I said, yeah, man, listen, if we can't get on the same page with this stuff, we're not going to be able to work together because there's no fear of him talking to the boss. Oh, you threaten to go to the boss all you want. The boss is, he can call, and it's not my boss, but the owner can call me on the phone anytime he wants, and I'll happily tell him exactly what happened. I'll be like, yeah, man, I wanted to be done for the day. I wanted to go to the truck stop. And he claims to have driven a truck, the owner. I physically ran around a property after going stoplight to stoplight to stoplight because the exit was closed, while calling ahead and more or less begging these people not to leave because I'm coming around the corner any minute. And now I got your dispatcher refusing to give me the information that I need because the dispatcher prefers that I drive another 3 hours because some drivers won't wake up to drive the 3 hours. And I will never oversleep, and I will always drive the 3 hours. And I'm in the middle of nowhere, and the chances of something happening, this is no longer Connecticut. It's the middle of fucking nowhere, Texas. The chances of something happen is almost zero, right? I'm smarter than all these motherfuckers, and I can track the details better than these people, right? So he thinks he's threatening me, and I'm like threatening him. I'm like, yeah, if we can't get on the same page here, then we're not going to be able to work together because we both know that I can at least one time just call the owner and say, hey, man, I ain't working with that dispatcher no more. You're going to have to give me somebody else. He's fired, right? I can do that at least one time, and it's just completely fine. I don't have to work with him. And now if it becomes a pattern, then I will be viewed as the problem, right? And so then at that point, now he's willing to own his part in all of it. And see, this is a lack of masculinity, folks. See, some people would call this, it's not feminine. This is a lack of masculinity. If he had owned his part and just said, you're right, man, I was dismissive. I did try to get you off the phone. My bad. That's all he had to say. Hey, give me a second. Let me look at this. Let me look at the delivery. Let me look at how much time you have. Oh, yeah, you got plenty of time. And by the way, good job today. And take it to the truck stop and we'll see you tomorrow. That's all he had to say. But we had to have a 15-minute fucking argument where I had to beat him into fucking submission, right? Which is a lack of masculinity. Because he, like a lot of women do, he fought me tooth and nail every step of the way. See? And every step of the way I went, nope, 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 nope. Until finally he realized, oh, he had nowhere to go. And then he apologized. And then I apologized. And I said, I accept your apology. I hope you will accept mine. And I look forward to continuing to work together. And hung up the phone. That's how it's done, folks. That's how it's done. And I've never suffered ever in my whole life from standing up for myself. And see, this is the fear, the guilt, and the shame of this realm is to have the person fearful of, oh my God, what's going to happen if I stand up for myself? Well, the other person's going to respect you and fear you to some extent, right? Because yeah, I will let him be dismissive. I will let him be in the middle of what's being treated like an important phone call, and then he's like, oh, well, hang on a second, and he goes and talks to somebody else for 5 minutes while I'm driving, and then he comes back. So it's like, well, wait a minute, is this an important phone call or not? You can't tell me that what me and you are having is an important phone call, and then it's just like I'm in the middle of a sentence, and he's like, oh, hang on just a second, I'll be right back, and he goes and does whatever he does for 5 minutes. I don't know what he's doing for 5 minutes, and then he comes back. And I just eat that and eat that and eat that. But when it's time for me to fucking Hulk smash, we're going to Hulk smash. But again, as a man who's supposed to be masculine, he's free at any time to just go, oh, you're right, you caught me. I tried to pull a fast one. You know, I did try to bullshit you, right? You're right, I did try to bullshit you. Because look, I will also got my own brand of bullshit. You know, the owner could call me up and say, well, hey man, you told him he's bullshitting. Well, here's how you've been bullshitting. And I'd go, yeah, you're right. I have been bullshitting in that way. You caught me. What do we do now? Right. You're right. VC society, I would say, does instill that fear in the youth. And I learned early and often, yes, I'm a long haul. I work as a long haul trucker. I learned early and often that the spirit of what I am can't let all of that push me around. And not only do I not suffer for rising up spiritually, in fact, I'm generally rewarded. And somebody here at the truck stop was rewarded. If I'd listened to that dispatcher, this person that was rewarded and blessed at the truck stop, it wouldn't have happened. And that's the next story I want to tell, but we're going to drive to Love's to get fuel because I don't really like to park at Love's, so we're at a Flying J. So we're going to use the personal conveyance to drive to Love's to finish the break. So bear with me while we do that. And that's the thing about the youth, VC, is that, you know, and every once in a while I meet a young fella, and because I know what they're up against. I know that they're in feminized environments, and they are, you know, incentivized to not express their own masculinity. And what I tell them every once in a while is I say, listen, if you know, a teenager or maybe somebody, you know, late teens, I say, if you decide to become a strong man, nobody can stop you, because that's a spiritual thing. And there's a man who just decides that I'm going to be a strong man and a masculine man. There's nothing that anybody can do about that. And see, we can talk about, oh, well, Benton's being negative and he's being this. Well, he's coming directly at your grill with a strong masculine spirit. Right. Good luck defeating that as long as I'm right. If I'm not right, that's a different matter entirely. And part of that masculine spirit is the moment I realize that, wait a minute, I'm not right, I need to shut the fuck up and say, oh, wait a minute, I done fucked up. And see, that's the hard part of actual masculinity is the moment the other person shows me I'm wrong, I need to stop fucking moving forward. I need to stop my progress and say, yeah, you're right. Fuck. I done fucked up. I stepped on my dick. My bad. Let's fix this. Which is what he could have done and chose not to. See? All right. Hopefully I'm still on the mic. I don't know what the range is of these wireless mics. Should still be connected. Hopefully. Where's my other phone, damn it? I know I just had it. Oh, there it is. Lord knows I can't drive to the Loves without being told how to get there. And you know, it's funny because like part of his initial strategy was to imply that I'm bad at my job for merely even asking him this question, which is fucking insane. It has nothing to do with it. I'm on a time crunch and I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that there's a person who should be able to answer my question. And if I take 20 minutes to study this whole trip plan, we're going to potentially lose the time. Right. And if the company's already telling me that time is of the essence, you know, doesn't it make sense? Doesn't it make sense that I would do that? Right. Why wouldn't I ask him? He's the one that planned the load. I'm the one who just got the trip plan. Why wouldn't I ask him? See what I'm saying? This makes no sense. I need him to explain to me why wouldn't I ask him without being told, well, you're bad at, you shouldn't ask me because if you ask me, you're bad at your job. Oh, okay. Well, what was all this about? If you need anything, give me a call. I'm here to help. We're a team. We're a family. What about all that? See, I forced him to, he can't have it both ways. Either we're a family, we're a team, we give a shit, go team, rah, you know, go team, go, or we don't. It's not both. It's one or the other. And if it's a family and a team and we care about each other, then answer my motherfucking questions. Or it's not a family, it's not a team, and I'll go fuck myself. But I'm not doing a combination of go fuck yourself and we're a family. We're like family here. I'm not doing that. And nobody can make me. Right? And as he's finding out. Or he could just never say that we're like a family bullshit. And then when he does dismiss me like I'm a moron and tries to get off the phone, I'll just make my own decision. All right, then. Have a nice weekend. And I'll just decide in the moment what I'm going to do. And if the load's late, the load's fucking late. Because ultimately, I don't really give a fuck. And truly, who cares? They're sending me to Houston. I fucking hate Houston. You know? I don't give a fuck. Am I driving through town like a bozo? Oh well. Doesn't matter because I'm actually driving in the morning, even though it's 4 a.m. I'm driving in the morning time. My preferred hours. And it's the weekend. I can actually drive in peace, perhaps, for a change. And it's been, 10 days of traffic. You're in the Northeast. Oh, my God, it's a wreck. It's an hour and a 45-minute delay. Oh, look, you drove for an hour. It's another wreck. It's another hour delay. Oh, now you're tired. Go to sleep on the fucking shoulder and wait for it to clear up. I've been doing that for 10 days, man. If I can take it to the truck stop, wake my happy ass up and hit the road at 4 a.m., how about we do that, sir? Do you mind? Is that okay? But no, I'm the nigger, and I don't mean, see, that's a violation. Benton's the nigger, and I don't mean black person, so of course drive the 3 hours, nigger. Why are you calling us nigger? Drive the 3 hours, nigger. And if I'm dumb enough to accept that, then, you see what I'm saying? If I'm dumb enough to play into that, then, what's affirmed is that Benton is behaving like a nigger. Because some Eastern European, is my fucking, is bossing me around to some extent. Which is fine, except I'll bide my time and then I'll punch him in his motherfucking face metaphorically. How you like that? Oh, you don't like that? Oh, well, here's another one. How about that one? Oh, you don't like that one either, but you think you got something for me? Well, how about one of these and one of those and a couple of these? Holy shit! Did you really just get fucking outsmarted and outmaneuvered by a bozo from the deep south? Holy shit! Is this guy possibly more intelligent than me in certain ways? Oh my god! I'm gonna talk about a blow to the ego. Holy shit! What has just happened? Like, yeah, man, mess with the bull, you get the horns, but not every time, right? Sometimes the bull just hangs out and says, "Oh, I'll wait. All right, now we gore him. Now we gore." And he ain't no matador. But, and again, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't get anything out of this. There's, earlier versions of Benton really kind of felt some type of way about being able to outsmart people. Who cares, man? Ultimately, can I just have my question answered? I bet he answers my question. Hell, all he had to say was, "I don't know." How about that? I don't know, man. I've been chasing skirt around the fucking office. I don't fucking know. Okay, well, I'll figure it out then. Have a nice life. Right? Just tell me what the fucking answer to the question is. If it's, "I don't fucking know," that's fine. I'll deal with it, because that's what the masculine spirit does. It takes whatever it's given and it deals with it. Right? Now, in my case, sometimes it whines and cries and catastrophizes first, and then it deals with it. Right? Sometimes. And we have the two helpful normies out of nowhere to normalize whatever I happen to be doing right now. Gotta love that. Thanks, normies. Appreciate the normalization. That way I can always feel secure that whatever I'm doing is completely appropriate, no matter what it is. Because that's how consumerism operates. It's to always have the person feel like whatever they're doing is completely appropriate. And then I love that the same person who's driving slow with me, the moment that their lane ends, decides because of FOMO, they decide, well, maybe they'll just go ahead and try to pass me right before their lane ends. It's like, yeah, let's do that. The same person who's happy to follow me at 45 miles an hour will try to pass me like a bat out of hell because their lane's going to end. And that's the same person. And now there's a wide open lane to their left, and they're happy to just follow me at 43 miles an hour. But if this lane starts to end, then they will again attempt to pass me like a bat out of hell. Isn't that funny? And now they're normalizing going 42 miles an hour at 4 a.m. and it's 65. So thank you for normalizing going 40 miles an hour. Finally, they figured out that they can just go ahead about and live their life. This is your general public. This is who people say, oh, they're waking up, right? No, they're not. There's nothing for them to wake up into. There would have to be a consciousness and a conscientiousness, and there would have to be an ability to think for themselves. There would have to be a lot of things present for them. There's nothing for them to wake up into, see? So yeah, they can be rousted. You can rouse them out of their slumber, but what do they enter into? What do they enter into as a result of being roused? Well, another layer of slumber, of course. Of course. It's a bit foggy this morning. I got my hours now, so we're going to be able to get fuel as soon as we get to Love's. Start the clock. And next time I talk to that dispatcher, I'm going to say, hey, I hope you notice I did exactly 10 hours and then hit the fucking road, Jack. I know other people oversleep. What's that got to do with me, partner? I don't oversleep. I wake my happy ass up. And if I'm so tired that I know I'm going to sleep 6 hours, and because of the way the schedule's been running, I'll know not to have to go pick a load up or whatever. This ain't rocket science. They'll figure it out. It'll take them a minute. They'll figure it out. Wish I could tell where to drive into the truck stop. Gonna make another egg drink too. See, am I coming? I don't even know am I on the proper side of there's nobody at the fuel, so I don't even know if I'm on the correct side of this thing or not. I guess I am. Can't really tell. Yes, okay, I am. Yes, this lot's way too tight. I just don't like parking at Love's anyway. Unless it's real early in the day, maybe, when I'm parking. All right, now we go on duty, pre-trip inspection. Yay. Then we go home, DVIR, create DVIR, vehicle, tractor, pre-trip inspection, safety status, safe to drive, because I'm legally obligated to put my name on it that this equipment is safe to operate. This is my legal signature, see? Bam. Yes, I certify that it's safe equipment. And I could be held liable, including criminally. And also with the federally mandated, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The feds. Anyway, BRB. Actually, I guess well, yeah, let me leave the mic here. Be right back. goddamn DEF went everywhere. Their pump's fucked. When I picked up that greasy ass pump, I knew something was fucked. Motherfuckers. 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 I don't even think it's power. VC says sounds like the power got to his head. I think more and more, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying more and more. I'm viewing it as no. They know that Benton is behaving like a nigger. I mean, ultimately, it's like, well, he's behaving like it's behaving like a nigger. It must be a nigger. Treat it like a nigger. And again, I don't mean black person. I mean, I think it really is that. And if you just tell it to drive 3 hours, most of them will just drive 3 hours. And again, most of them are trying to get home to mama. So they want to, do everything in their power to work so they can go home to mama. I had a mama, I talked to her on the phone on occasion. Imagine that. I even talk to my dad once or twice a year. Doesn't necessarily go well, but I don't know. I managed to talk to him once every 2 years, probably. I still got a story for y'all where something interesting came out of all this. And yeah. Shit. My bad. With the truck running, this is just going to keep falling, but whatever. Egg drink. Let's have our egg drink. Two points. You making an omelet, sir? Well, not exactly, but sort of. Uh-oh. All right. We're just going to have to. Now, are we upside down now? That's interesting. I don't know how that works. There we go. Oh, man, we lost the egg yolk and all that. Fuck. I got two, I should have been worried more about my egg yolk than the damn. That's a shame. I should have been worried more about the egg yolk than if the camera fell over. Pick one, buddy. Now you lost a yolk. One less yolk in your drink, partner. That don't feel good. That one's trying to break too. Well, we salvaged a little bit of it, but not much. Whoa, now that white went everywhere. You're really getting crazy with the cheese whiz. Got a whole fucking white to mop up now. And it got on my toilet paper. Oh, that's fucked. Damn it, man. This is what happens when a person lets themselves get in a hurry. It's part of my skill as a truck driver is I can get into a frenetic space and still drive safely. Damn it. I just ruined this whole roll of toilet paper. No, we saved it. This is what I mean about the nigger is like, look at how he's behaving. He's doing this job that has no press. Because the thing is, they have to behave like this is some kind of, oh, he's a professional driver and blah, blah, blah. Because they have, and because the trucks don't drive themselves yet. And that's kind of the dirty little secret is I'm being pushed more and more and more to do things that I never would have been expected to do. And it's because of self-driving. And the way markets operate, and I'm one of the few drivers that understands this because of how markets operate. The moment the industry understands that I'm not going to be paid soon, meaning there won't be a driver to pay, the rates for freight immediately adjust to the reality that in 2 to 5 years there will be no salary paid to the driver. So that's already priced in. That's why you got people in trucking who think, well, the prices, the rates will recover. No, they won't. They don't understand that the rates can't recover because the rates have priced in not having to pay a driver. And guess what? You're still paying drivers, except not the foreign drivers. The foreign drivers are paid by somebody takes care of their family in India financially, which is not a lot of money. Somebody that's got business connections to whoever's got business connections over here takes care of their family in India. That's what they're working for, and that's honor. And they're doing the honorable thing because their fucking ancestors are cared for, and their mom and their grandma, and these people live to be 120 years old. A lot of them, or whatever it is. Somebody's got to take care of them. Now here's a dude in a turban, who's been taught to behave as if he's loving. Meanwhile, next thing you know, he's on drugs, smashing into killing people on the interstate. Well, that's not very loving. Benton will tell you to go fuck yourself or, be rude on the phone, but he's not ever going to crash into stop traffic and kill 3 motherfuckers. That's never going to happen. Anyway, I'm getting a little too agitated. I need to chill out. But it's good. Sometimes it's good to sort of, it's cathartic, right? Catharsis. Get shed of it, like my people would say. Get it all out. Express it. And so that's part of the practice, is to be completely okay with this is how things are. Not only is it not going to get fixed, it's going to get worse. And then after that, it's going to get worse. And then after that, it's going to get worse. And then after that, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And then if the system needs something accomplished, there will be periods of time when it seems like things have gotten better. And that's your Ozzie and Harriet, Leave It to Beaver, Golden Age, or whatever. That people think is just, oh, well, those people were just better people. No, they were mind controlled to live that way, just like the people today are mind controlled to walk around with porn in their pockets everywhere they go. And think about cuck chairs and, just and on and on and on, whatever it may be. Just the litany of repugnant, depraved, fallen, wickedness, also known as this world of death and game of lies. And it was the same world of death and game of lies when it was Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver and white picket fence and 2.5 kids and fucking union job at the GM plant. Meanwhile, you better not get a car made on a Monday or a Friday. Good luck to you. Rolling fucking garbage. Oh, but greatest country on earth. Well, then why did Japan have the biggest, most badass economy by the early 90s? Why wasn't the U.S. on top then? Now, why is the U.S. going into a Japanese-style asset bubble? I don't know. How come the U.S. has to keep, just like Japan, how come the U.S. has to keep inflation at, interest, the Fed interest rate, the central bank interest rate at damn near zero, which is right, they're going to put it right back to zero. Japan was negative. You know, I'm one of the few people that knows about 3 years ago, Japan went positive on their central bank interest rate for the first time in like 26 years. Do you think these people out here have any idea what that even means? They don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean that Japan finally went positive on their interest rate after 26 years? They don't know what that is. They say, what are you talking about? I say, it's called an asset bubble, sir. It's called, if you thought you were going to, these people still think you can put money in the bank and draw interest. I say, when it's a negative interest rate, you pay the bank to put your money in it. You pay them to put your money in it. Now, the U.S. has that. It's called all these insane fees. It's the billions and billions and billions in fees, right? Do you think these people have any concept of that? Why would they? Right? All they know is they bail the banks out, but they keep using the big banks. Benton says, well, okay, I understand the bailouts happen. I'm not going to go back to using the big banks, nor should anybody else, in my opinion. Well, I don't control what these people do. They get to do whatever the fuck they want. They get to behave as foolishly as they want. They get to show themselves to be complete morons with no scruples or integrity or morality whatsoever. And if you think that breaks down along political lines, you're out of your fucking mind. Anybody who thinks Republican moral, Democrat immoral is an insane person. Or they're gaslighting for their own. What do they get out of the gaslighting then at that point? What's the benefit to them to gaslight the rest of us around Biden's poopy diaper? Right? How does that work? You tell me. I can't call it. And then I'm expected to go out here and make a success of myself in this fucking world? Fuck you. Fuck you. But I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. It was 1976. And I was born in 1975, 49 motherfucking years later. And I hear people saying things as if it's, oh, they're waking up. What? They're waking up to what the movie Network showed everybody in 1976? What's that going to do? What did it do to wake them up to it in 1976? Nothing. Didn't do anything. So what the fuck is it going to do now? Nothing. And then what do they say? Oh, ha, 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 you will own nothing and you will be happy. I say, well, don't you know what propaganda is? To even say that, even sarcastically, that's propaganda. That now the people are the propaganda, right? You want to talk about Edward Bernays and what's that other guy, McLuhan, the medium is the message. The people are the propaganda. It's like, oh, this idea that, oh, you're so powerful that the system has to lie to you. The system has so much power over the people that it's turned the people into the people are the propaganda. What are you talking about? This system, this world of death and game of lies only speaks the languages of money and power. And guess what, individuals? You got one chance at power and it's inside of you. If you think you're going to ever will power out here, you better learn how to serve evil. Because ain't nobody out here getting money and power without serving evil. Look at this NBA scandal. Those people already had money. Squandered it. Living the American dream, so-called, which is to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of stupid shit. Right? Actually, it's a dualistic American dream. You know, that's the consumer affluent. Oh, well, you're an athlete. You an athlete, you can dunk a basketball. Well, here's your millions. Oh, you done squandered your millions? Okay, well, it's the American way. You better go perpetrate a bunch of fraud then and steal from a bunch of people. Right? So when I see somebody lives in a cul-de-sac, right, and drives a SUV and lives a lifestyle, I know that's a fucking fraud. I know that's a lying, manipulating, fallen, wicked, unethical, immoral piece of garbage. Because that's the only people that have money in this country. And even somebody on here who posted in my live chat earlier, who probably owns a home, pays for some women's lifestyles, and earns a nice hourly wage, talks about going up underneath a vehicle with a creeper and duct taping his hands up under the equipment and taking a nap. That's a lying, immoral, unethical piece of trash by his own behavior. He's performing that. Yeah, Benton's performing like a nigger. He's performing like an unethical, wicked, fallen, immoral piece of trash. See, call a spade a spade. He's doing that. I'm not doing that. I don't answer for that. I'm not guilty for that. He is, and it's fine, because that's the only way to live in a cul-de-sac. You think you're going to bust your ass? You think you're going to outcompete your way into a cul-de-sac? You think you're going to meritocracy your ass into a cul-de-sac? No, you're not. It ain't possible. It's probably never been possible, except during the Ozzie and the Harriet, when they said, well, the system, Moloch's machine, needs y'all to build up all this bullshit. So temporarily, for a generation or two, we'll let you earn enough without completely selling out your own ethics. Now, you're still free to sell out your ethics, but we'll let you go to a job and earn a living and have a white picket fence and a woman to come home and slap on the ass, right? And to have a roll in the hay with, Yeah, we'll let you have that for a generation and a half or two, and then it's right back to scandal after scandal after scandal, and everybody that lives a certain lifestyle is a fucking lying, immoral, illegal piece of garbage. While what do they do? What does it say? Like Hillary Clinton and all her cronies, they accuse the opposition of what they're doing. And what do you have now? Americans are calling what? They're calling niggers illegals. You're the illegal, buddy. You're breaking the law to live in a cul-de-sac. Whether that's the actual written laws or it's the unwritten law of, hey, a day's work for a day's pay. Oh, you make $75 an hour for eight hours and with time and a half and double time, and you think it's appropriate to come in on Monday and just fuck off and do nothing? You're a lying piece of wicked, fallen, repugnant trash. You're behaving that way. And this system says, dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills, y'all. And it also says, hey, Benton, we need some niggers to go drive these trucks. How about you get one of these trucks? And you can get 18 of these a week. We'll go dollar bills, y'all, 18 times a week. And we'll still expect you to pay taxes on that, buddy. Here, take it, nigger. And do what you're told, nigger. Yeah. While EBT takes a 2-hour nap, makes half of what I'm making a day to take a 2-hour nap underneath a piece of equipment somewhere. Which is, I don't give a fuck. Go for it, buddy. You got to live in that cul-de-sac some type of way. I'm a nigger in a truck. But you tell me which one's the living based on the spirit of what they are, and who's living based on very different principles. And we see the reward system. Meanwhile, the gaslighting is, hey, if Benton would just pull himself up by his bootstraps and do a little better, maybe he could make a success in this world. What I am can't ever be successful in relation to this world. That's a violation. That ain't possible. Anybody who's successful in the eyes of this world, that's a violation. Because if they were born with that Nancy Pelosi MS-13 spark of divinity, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. If they're living in a cul-de-sac, they're serving evil. They're serving what's wicked and fallen. They're serving death. That's the only way to do it. As VC's finding out, oh, you think you're going to go into a university? You think you're going to be a doctor? You think you're going to make $250 a year? We finna divorce you from your integrity, partner. You think you're going to have a woman? You think you're going to have a life? You think you're going to have a picket fence? You're going to get metaphorically pegged? You're going to sit in that cuck chair, whether literal, metaphorical, or both, buddy? Ain't that right, VC, if you're still listening? That's what you're going to do. Or you going to fuck off and you're going to be your version of a nigger. You're going to be a nigger with a potential to make $250 and a fucking doctorate. You're going to be a 250K doctorate nigger. That's where VC's living, I suspect. Tell me I'm wrong. You think Benton ain't got this motherfucker figured out? Benton got it figured out because what this motherfucker is exists in relation to me. I don't exist in relation to this motherfucker. This motherfucker exists in relation to me, Jack. And what I am can't give a fuck about a cul-de-sac and a SUV and a lifestyle. I ain't got that in me to give a fuck about that. So I will park my nigger ass in a big rig and park it at a goddamn truck stop and win fucking bozo arguments. What's my prize? What's my prize for winning a bozo argument with a fucking Lithuanian dispatcher? Right? Oh, I get to spend the night in a truck with no air conditioning at a truck stop? You better remember to pop the fucking hood when you get out, buddy. Otherwise, all that engine heat's coming in. But I hope you remember to turn the engine off and pop that hood. Otherwise, you're going to be like, why is it so hot in here? What the fuck's going on? It's only 65 degrees outside. Oh, I forgot to pop the motherfucking hood. What you going to tell me? What you going to tell me? Nothing. Because you ain't got it like that. Because you won't uncover and walk the perfected path that lies within. That's why. You won't hold yourself accountable. That's why. Because if you do, you'll be treated like the nigger. And you'll be spiritually attacked and gaslit. And that ain't no way to live. Well, it ain't life, buddy. It's a slow process of death anyway. What you talking about, Willis? Life? Motherfucker, that's a breakfast cereal. Life? Mikey motherfucking likes it. He loves death. You kidding me? All they that hate me love death, Jack. All they that hate what I am love death. So let ABT have all the death he wants because he ain't got the balls. He ain't got the principles. He ain't got the spirit to live righteous. That's why he's got to clothe himself in the liturgy and the bullshit, fraudulent authority of the Catholic Church. That's why. Because he knows what he's performing as is not redeemable. It ain't redeemable. So, oh well, we've got a Pauline Christianity to sign off on our bad behavior and wickedness. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. Saul of Tarsus, on his way to persecute Christians. He's still persecuting them. He never stopped. He's persecuting them, and he probably never existed. But even if he did, he only existed in the context of, delusion and illusion. So even if he existed, he still didn't exist. Even if he was a historical person, he was a historical person in the dead flesh, just like Benton is. Oh, but Benton's got to live his life based on what another animated death wormed over fucking dead vessel supposedly said and experienced and signed off on. That's a violation, motherfuckers. That's a violation, motherfucker. How am I going to live based on that? How am I going to live through death? What I am will never know death unless I'm dumb enough to listen to Pauline Christianity. Right? Shit is crazy, man. So imagine understanding all of that and maintaining one's sanity. Doing that now. Doing that now. Talking to y'all instead of cleaning my windshield. So I guess I'll waste a bunch of windshield washer fluid. I'm going to have some more dark chocolate too. Fuck it. I'm on one today. Yes, sir. Jacked up on that theobromine. Oh, shit. Keep my ginger in there. And away we go. Maybe. See, another benefit to driving in the morning is I can bust a U-turn, go back the way I came, and not have to go down the road and turn around because it's a one-way on the service road. Now, of course, here's a big rig coming in. Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? See, now it's just, it went from no action to now it's just, it's fucking Grand Central Station all of a sudden. Funny how that works. Which way are we going here? Oh, wait a minute. Don't make a damn bit of sense. Hang on. Which way do they want me to? They want me to go the other way. Why? Doesn't make any. What are we doing? The GPS has lost its mind. But we did all that for nothing, apparently. Hang on. I guess I left my phone in the back like a bozo. So after all that happened, I drove my happy ass to the Flying J, 11 miles in the wrong direction. And which is fine. And, excuse me. It's interesting because as soon as I pulled onto the lot, I start creeping past fuel island, and so I pulled through the fuel island because it's kind of a tight lot too, but it's not too. The parking is pretty spaced out as far as being able to actually leave in the morning, you know. So the best way for me to get through is to pull up to one of the pumps, but safety, I need to stop because it's dangerous to just drive through that motherfucker, because the pedestrians expect that the person drives up to the pump and stops. They don't expect the person to just continue forward. People get ran over that way. So here comes three dudes, and I don't know, maybe they're like local truck drivers, sauntering out of the truck stop. And so I'm going to keep going, but in order to not be unsafe, I stop, which now it looks like I'm going to get fuel. So they continue sauntering. So I sit there and wait for them to saunter past. Then I'll go ahead and go off duty, as long as I don't go any faster than 5 miles an hour. So I start creeping at 5 miles an hour, and they're sauntering, and I'm creeping, and they're sauntering, and I'm creeping. And, you know, they're not bothered by any of this. You know, they're just going to they're having their conversation, walking three abreast and whatever. I'm not bothered. I'm not, you know, frustrated. It's like, yeah, I'll just go 5 miles an hour and it'll take however long it takes. And because of that, I end up like driving sort of around them, and I go all the way to the corner of the lot, and then I decide where I want to park by then, because the whole time I'm scoping out where to park, and it's all based on, can I leave this motherfucker in the morning or not? Or are they going to block me in? Some places that you're going to get blocked in, you won't be able to leave if the truck stop fills up, which is not a given, but it, you know, could. So I happened to see a fellow sitting on the sidewalk, kind of under these trees in the corner, and he's got on scrubs, and he's got his shoulder, you know, his arms are inside the top of the scrubs, and he's sitting on the concrete. So it's clearly some version of a homeless person, a crazy person. And then it looks like he's got the I've been to the mental hospital socks on. It's a very specific type of socks, if y'all have ever seen these socks. But, you know, I can't quite tell. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll go check in and see if he needs anything. So I get parked, and I go back to where I first saw him. He ain't there. And so I wander around the property, and I guess he sits on that corner, but then every once in a while he gets up and wanders to and fro. So I find him later on when he's back seated at the corner, you know. In many years in the streets, I know how to approach crazy people, or people who are undergoing a mental health crisis, or just people on drugs, or all of the above. Which, number one, give them their space. Don't sneak up behind them. Approach them from the front. Make sure they see you. Keep your distance, right? Maybe give a little wave, like, hey, man, yeah, you know, I'm going to now engage you in conversation, if that's all right. And if they give any signs of not wanting to be interacted with, then fuck off. So I kind of squat down, and I'm like, hey, man, just seeing if you need anything. Just checking in and seeing if you need anything. He seems like he's probably in his mid-20s, white guy, long, curly brown hair, you know. And he's like, yeah, I could, you know, if you have some money, I could get something to eat, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to give you some money, but, you know, I wanted to see if you needed anything, you know, I don't know, like blankets or what, just whatever, man. You know, I'm just trying to find out what he needs, you know. This is Lubbock, Texas. You know, this is not a blue city where there's social workers driving around in vans, you know, throwing blankets, sleeping bags, and tents at the homeless. You know, this guy's out there he's out there in the shit, you know. Now, people say, well, he's on drugs. I don't know what he's on. Maybe he is. The general public's on drugs. What's the difference? Oh, well, one type of drugs is bad, but all the other drugs, we just pretend like that's either not happening or it's okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Understood. It's okay when y'all do drugs. It's not okay when the mentally ill homeless people do drugs. Okay, I got it. Thanks for clearing that up. And I don't mean you, the listener. I mean society. It's okay when the people who go to work every day and have jobs. It's okay when they have to go on psych meds to get through their day. That's completely fine. So I give him a $20 bill. And then he realizes that he's probably not capable of going into the truck stop and buying food. So he's like, he's very meek and mild and just very, you know, you can tell he's going through it, man. The guy's he's undergoing a mental health crisis. I mean, there's no doubt about it. To what extent, I have no idea. I'm not a psychiatrist. And he's very like thankful and you know, gratitude, but also, you know, probably shame and you know, a bit of just a sheepishness for, you know, being in this situation, and probably some awareness that he's clearly just came from a fucking hospital. You know, I mean, something's happened. I mean, he's got everything but the bracelet on from his hospital stay. Right. And, you know, there's no way for me to convey, well, you know, I've been homeless since 2012 and I've been there to some extent and, you know, yada, yada, yada. I'm on some spiritual shit. So here's $20. But then he's like, I'm like, all right, what do you want? You know, and a couple of slices of pizza. And it's like, all right, what else, you know? And it's taking them a while to really, you know, sort of get this out. And, you know, I got all the patience in the world at this point. Meanwhile, all I'm thinking is, if I'd have listened to that bozo dispatcher, I'd be driving to Roswell, New Mexico right about now, because in his words, well, you have time on your clock. Yeah, motherfucker, I'm looking at the clock. I know I have time on my clock. Are you fucking high? What are you talking about? Do you not understand there's a tablet in the truck? So, number one, I would have left town without fuel and driven into the middle of nowhere where there's nowhere to get fuel. Maybe I would have figured it out before I left town. Oh, that's right, I better get fuel before I leave town. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Probably would have figured it out. Probably. Either way, now I'm thinking, you know what? I never would have ran into this dude if I'd listened to that dispatcher, and I probably wouldn't have seen him if not for the saunterers, right? The saunterers. If I'd become frustrated and just nailed the fuel pedal and said, fuck these people, how dare they be so inconsiderate, I also might not have noticed it. You know, this is all clearly happening for a reason, right? Perhaps what I am, the larger force, the indivisible force, perhaps it understood that, well, we have another being who's being persecuted and spiritually attacked and demonically oppressed, who's sitting on a sidewalk in a truck stop in Lubbock, Texas, who might need a meal and maybe some assistance. You know, this whole take no care for what you're going to wear or what you're going to eat or what you're going to put on, which is probably some kind of metaphor of what you put on, right? Meaning maybe what you perform as. I don't know, what costume you wear. So he's putting, whether he likes it or not, he's wearing the costume of a, mentally ill person, at least according to the system, who's recently been, and nobody gives a fuck. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, the church, may or may not show up if they go to that area or not. Probably if it's not a holiday, they're not showing up to the truck stop. Maybe they'll show up with a Thanksgiving dinner plate for the truckers who are just happen to be spending Thanksgiving at the truck stop. And I know because I've spent Thanksgiving at a truck stop before, because I'm the nigger, and I'm not, but Benton as nigger spending his holidays in a truck. Right. What message does that send to one's employer when they spend Christmas in a big rig behind a Food Lion in Charlotte, North Carolina? What are they to think of that person? Right. Anyway. It's foggy. So then I'm like, what else, man? What do you need here? So I go in and get him pizza, and he wants Oreos. He's like, yeah, maybe some Oreos. I'm like, all right, bet. So turns out we get a drink with the slices, so he gets a Mountain Dew. So I go in and get all this for him. And, again, he's sheepish and a bit embarrassed. He's embarrassed by the whole thing, clearly. And overly thankful, right? So I'm like, what do you need? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe a coat. They don't even have coats, no hoodies, no nothing. They got coveralls. And I just go in off. I'm like, hey, what about these coveralls? But it's not his style, and I respect it on some level. If you've ever seen a home bumming it up at a truck stop somewhere with the truck stop coveralls on, that's a very specific thing. But it's getting to be that time of the year. This certainly, if he's going to be sleeping outside and it's going to get down to 50 or whatever, like it's almost like a sleeping bag at that level. Just wake up and brush the fucking sleep in the Texas dust, and then wake up and sort of just brush yourself off, right? I mean, that's the life he's living at this point, to some extent. And maybe he's going to end up in them trucks. I don't know. That's none of my business. Let's see. But as a shout out to El Delgado, who I don't believe listens to any of this, but who knows? Maybe he does. As El Delgado's noticed, when he talks about, sometimes he talks about, like he's been going through the load boards and saying, here's how a driver can make that the hallowed $10,000 a week in revenue to the truck. And so he's talking about you could take this load to that place, and he's done trucking long enough. He says, and then you could stop in Memphis for a piece of pussy. Or he'll say, well, then they're selling pussy at this truck stop. But then sometimes he says, it ain't even. They're not even really selling pussy out here. He said, y'all, meaning I don't know who he means, but he said now it's dudes out here selling their ass. The lot lizards are guys now. So for all I know, he's in and out of these trucks. I don't fucking know. It's not my business. I don't know. Can't call it. Don't know. Even if he is, the man he can still have a coat, right? Does he have to, if he's going to be humiliated in and out of the trucks for whatever he might need to get for substances? I don't know. Again, not my business. Speculating based on my knowledge of of how this can work for certain people, right? It'd probably be less humiliating if he was able to do this not in motherfucking mental hospital scrubs. Although for some reason in the end he insisted on keeping the mental hospital socks. I don't know, maybe he wants people to, if they have eyes to see, be able to see the condition he's in. Because just imagine the type of repugnant piece of garbage who will take advantage of somebody in this situation. And make no mistake, whether this guy's selling his ass or not, somebody somewhere is taking advantage of this fella in some type of way. You can guarantee that. He's down, and this world always kicks a fellow when he's down, 100% of the time. 100% of the time. That's where he's at. So we figure out that I'm not going to be able to help him. I take my leave, you know. And when he's scrunched down on the ground, he looks like he could maybe wear my hoodie or whatever. I'm like, yeah, you know, I got an extra hoodie. I wore it one time after I washed it. But then he's like, yeah, I don't think it's going to fit. And I didn't realize until he stood up later, he's actually quite a bit larger than me. You just couldn't really tell because of how he was sitting. And a bigger dude, you know. And, you know, probably 6 foot tall, big frame. And then, you know, part of maybe being in and out of those trucks is if he's walking around on the corner, 6 foot tall, broad shouldered, probably not as likely to be in and out of the trucks. Again, I don't fucking know, not my business. Because he tends to do his walking back and forth more around back where people can't see him. Whatever. So eventually I'm in the truck and I remember, oh, they got this app, because I thought about going to the super center, except I'm not really trying to bobtail to the super center at fucking 6 p.m. on a Friday. Fight all of that. And try to shop for a man. And, you know, try to shop for a man anyway. Like, that's not really trying to live that life either. I mean, come on. So I figure out, oh, wait a minute, we got the app. They'll deliver this. $10 express delivery from the fucking Walmart Supercenter. Now another coolie, another nigger, I can dispatch a nigger from my phone. And meanwhile, Benton living as a nigger. And the only reason Benton can afford to dispatch a nigger from the app is that he's living as a nigger. Nigger world. Niggerdom. Christendom, this is niggerdom. You think you're going to live like Christ? That ain't Christendom, that's niggerdom. Think you're going to live like Christ? You're going to live like a nigger. Now, this guy might not be living like Christ on the one hand, but he's living like Christ on the foxes have dens and birds have nests. This fucking dead flesh ain't got nowhere to lay its head, Pablo. Believe that. But here come the servant of what I am, and maybe the servant of what he is. And maybe it would call him master. But eventually it would call him friend. I don't call you servant. I call you friend. So maybe it would allow itself to be viewed as master just long enough for him to rise up to the level of friend. I don't know. I can't call it. So I start shopping for him on the app, and then I'm like, well, shit, we might as well go wander over and see what he thinks. Because this is definitely the level of mentally ill person that he's already said no to the coveralls. If I show up with some random bullshit that ain't his style, he ain't going to wear it, which I respect it. Because I'm also that type of person. One of my least favorite things about homelessness is if I ever end up having to wear random clothing. I fucking hate that shit. So thank y'all for your donations last year that helped keep me in my preferred clothing. Along with a nice Asian lady who showed up right on time to give me $100 out of nowhere, and I bought a pair of pants that no longer fit me because I was in them 28s back then. I think I bought a hoodie, some t-shirts, and I bought a pair of shoes and a pair of pants with her money. Now that I think about it, she's like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna buy drugs with it, or yeah, they might." Or they're going to buy a pair of pants and a pair of shoes. Who knows? I don't fucking know. Or 2 slices of pizza and some Oreos. I don't know what they're buying with the $20. Not my business. But I've been the person on the street who somebody gave $20 to, and I know what that feels like. And giving is receiving. It's an even exchange. If he's not willing to take the $20, I can't receive whatever that is, energetically. See, if I want to help somebody, I'm actually dependent on somebody who's willing to accept the help. See how that works? Funny how that works. Almost like I've thought this through thoroughly. So it takes about an hour, but we managed to figure out what he's willing to wear. And $100 later, a coolie named Miguel in his 20s, Gen Z don't want to work, but Gen Z will, through the Walmart Spark app, will drive his happy ass to the Supercenter and go pick up a camouflage $45 jacket, 2X, and I never would have known to buy this fellow a 2X, a 2X $15 gray t-shirt, $13 gray t-shirt, and a $20 gray pair of sweatpants, which I think by the time it showed up, he was probably regretting, because I don't think we totally took so long to settle on the hoodie and the t-shirt. I basically just executive decisioned on the color of the sweatpants. He said sweatpants, which does kind of imply gray, but these were a lighter gray. I think he probably. But what would Mr. Miyagi say? Beggars can't be choosers. I don't remember him asking me for any of this, Mr. Miyagi. I remember offering, motherfucker. We don't send out beggars. Yeah, he wasn't begging. Satan, accuser. You're right, Satan don't send out beggars. Satan makes sure that his people are showered with plenty of money. Even if they need to go be former NBA players who got showered with millions, and now they've squandered millions, and now here they are scamming and breaking the law and putting out a fraudulent NBA product that's still legal because your ticket says that this is an entertainment product. We don't promise you a fair contest. This is not legally indicative. Your contract don't entitle you to that. Turning on your TV or your streaming service don't entitle you to watch a above board fair product, but you're allowed to legally wager on it. Well, they'll let you wager on the outcome of an election too, now won't they? Yep. Oh, beggars can't be choosers. I don't remember him asking. I remember offering. And if a nigger called Miguel, and again, I don't mean black person or person of color, is going to go to all the trouble of shopping at the Supercenter for a homeless, mentally ill person that society don't give a flying fuck about because he won't serve evil. His spirit is so strong that even while being demonically oppressed, he won't serve evil enough in the proper way to get blessed/cursed with a bunch of Federal Reserve notes. Or he's not capable. I don't know. Don't know, don't care. But it's a human being. Yeah, this place shows you what it thinks of humanity by how it treats humanity. And it doesn't. This place don't have a very high opinion of humanity now, does it? Hey, humanity, here's your scrubs and your mental health, your mental hospital socks. Now go hang out at the corner of the truck stop, and if he's addicted enough, he can be in and out of them trucks. And somebody somewhere will be local and know, hey man, could you know anybody who can show up with what I'm trying to get or what he's trying to get? So this is called a business in America. Sex is a business. Sex workers of both genders exist. Whether or not this fella's one, I don't know. I know I've been picking up cans and bottles at 2 a.m. on Sunset in Los Angeles, and I've had numerous people pull up to try to find out is old Benton a sex worker? Well, thankfully, no. Now, if Benton had ever fallen into drug addiction, I don't know. Might have been a stick-up kid. Might have stuck up the drug dealers. Don't know. Might have been sticking up the stick-up kids. Don't know. Never had to find out, thankfully. Never had that monkey on my back, Mr. Miyagi. What kind of drugs do you do? And what do you do to get your hands on your shit, motherfucker? That's Big Duke. You better recognize Pico Union. Echo Park adjacent. Pico Union. What y'all know about that? Nothing. What kind of drugs do you do? And what do you do to get your hands on your shit, motherfucker? Rest in peace. May peace be upon him. The Latin ODB, rest in peace, may peace be upon ODB. He got burnt once, and he got burnt 2 times by gonorrhea. That's his testimony. Big baby Jesus. The spiritual essence of the Wu-Tang Clan, lest we forget. Probably the most persecuted of all and the least rewarded. Huh. Funny how that works. Never left the ghetto, now did he? Never left the projects. Kept it all the way real. I guess he really did like it raw. If you think you ain't listening to that type of motherfucker, I don't know what kind of ears you listening with, partner. Yeah, I got that white boy, white devil, silver tongue layer of foolish phoniness. Yeah, of course I do. How could I not? I've gazed into that abyss, and that abyss has gazed into me. So what? It can't touch what I am. And so Benton worked like a nigger for his room and board, and then dispatched his nigger Miguel to go shopping for a mentally ill homeless person who might very well be a sex worker for all I know. Not my business. Meanwhile, who did Jesus supposedly hang out with? You tell me. Woman, where have your accusers gone? I don't see anybody. Where did they go? Oh, let he who is without sin cast the first stone type shit. There, but for the grace of God go I type shit. Yeah, it's easy to enter into the building and open the book and sing the hymnal now, ain't it? It's another matter entirely to live it in a valley of the shadow of death. To uncover, meaning to dig and to dig and to dig internally, to go inwardly, to dig enough to uncover the perfected path within, to then be able to be met and treated like a coolie nigger. And I don't mean black person. White nigger. There goes that white nigger. Not a wigger. There goes that white nigger. Since day one, Jack, believe that. Shout out to Johnny Cash's cotton picking, sharecropping parents in Northeast Arkansas. So their son John R. Cash could serve evil sufficient enough to get rewarded with a bunch of cash so he could buy his daddy a tractor that his daddy didn't give a fuck about. And in the movie, John was on a bunch of drugs and thought he was going to impress his daddy by driving around in the tractor and got it stuck. And his dad shook his head and said, "Look at you, boy. Look at you, boy. Look what you done become." So anyway, I did insist. I said, "Hey man, you got to put the hoodie on, the jacket." It was I'm trying to remember the brand. It's one of these famous camo brands. I can't remember which one. Not the Real Tree, but something along those lines. I might sound like a country boy. I ain't no country boy. Guess what's in style in LA starting last year? Real Tree camo and other types of camo, but vintage kind of camo, like yard sale camo. Bubba Sparks, Bumpin' Goody Mob, Real Tree camo. This white boy really think he Rambo. And I've been to the flea market in Echo Park looking for a hat, and they had like a NASCAR hat. And I said, you know what? I could wear this one. A little too on the nose, don't you think? It's ironic. It's meta irony when y'all wear it, but when I open my mouth with this hat on, it's not going to really operate at the level of irony now, is it? Told the fella that. He of course had no choice but to agree. He said, yeah, you're right. See, I am that one in a million. There's one white boy from a deep south, born on the bayou, sleeping in the car, mobbing around Echo Park, understanding fashion and graffiti art and music and culture. And that's me, and you're listening to him. You're welcome. There's one. Until I meet the next one, I'm going to go ahead and assume I'm the only one. And if that sounds arrogant or narcissistic, not my problem. One in millions. The Bodhisattva of the Bayou. Sitting under a tree in a swamp somewhere. Figuring out how not to get bit by skeeters. Pitching an A-frame tarp in a goddamn swamp. Got pictures of it if I ever get back to my computer with a fucking bug tent. A mesh bug tent. To keep the skeeters up off of me. That's who you're listening to. Waking up at 4 a.m. to go walk the U.S. highways to get a ride. I'll go back to that life anytime I need to. There's a Christian cross to remind us of the nature of this realm of death. That's right, Christians, your cross is a death symbol. Oh, no, it symbolizes the resurrection of Christ. No, it doesn't. It symbolizes the dead flesh, the AKA the Son of Man. Is you crazy? A blind man can see that, Billy. But yeah, fit him perfect. 2X, he knew. And somehow Benton knew to patiently figure it the fuck out. Because why blow a hundo and tip old Miguel at $10? And I don't know how the app works. For all I know, I gave him 5-star rating, and then is he going to rate me? I don't know how that works. But either way, maybe it's better for me to tip in the app. I don't know. I said, well, cash is better, right? He was a little chirpy, a little fluffy. He can go get him not a value meal. You can't get a value meal with $10 anymore, but I don't know, whatever $10 will get him at the McDonald's. while he finishes out his shift of NIG work. The NIG apps. It's not a gig app, it's a NIG app. He's a NIG worker, not a gig worker. A NIG worker. We all niggers now. Some of us house niggers get to crawl up underneath of a piece of equipment, take a 2-hour nap. Some of us field slaves and get to drive big rigs. And get treated like subhuman pieces of garbage by Eastern European, by Euro trash, for the privilege of working on a 1099 to give the middle finger to the government and say, no, I won't pay your tax. And if you got a dungeon for me somewhere, I'll happily go off to it. I might just go sit cross-legged out in front of that motherfucker. And when the guards come up and say, what do you think you're doing? I'll say, I'm sitting here Fight Club style because at some point y'all finna put me in that motherfucker. I figured I'd go ahead and volunteer and sit here cross-legged. And if I sit here long enough, I might just vibrate up into the heavenlies like Christ did after whatever that symbolic death was, executed for sedition by the state of. And I'll say, I've been out here behaving seditiously for years now. When are y'all gonna, where's my death? Whether literal, symbolic, or both. Where's my multi-layered, multifaceted death? Because Christ didn't die for sin, because sin is dead. How is the most super intelligent power, source, and force of love and creation possible? What level of violation would it be for that? That is blaspheming the Holy Spirit. It's the idea that Christ died for the sins of your dead flesh. Are you crazy? That's what the book says. That's an inversion. Are you crazy? Well, I guess you are. Did we miss a turn? Or where are we? Are we going to Roswell, New Mexico? Hang on. Add on. No, we didn't miss a turn. We're really going, we're leaving the middle of nowhere, and we're really going out in the middle of nowhere now, and I'm probably about to drop that signal, so let's just go ahead and call it non-tent, because I'm going to keep rambling, but I'd say it's pretty fucking high-level content. In fact, I'm going to end this for posterity, and we're going to start up another one. Is that a stop sign? No, it's for the side. So I can see we're finna go out to the... Be right back.